Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Artcasters number 490. We are only 10 episodes away from the big 500, which I don't have any idea what we're going to do for that, other than hopefully it'll be some cool show. But we have a cool guest on tonight, so you don't have to wait that long. I am going to, let's see. I'm sorry. I'm frustrated. I'm going to Designer Con this weekend. I'm leaving tomorrow, so I'm excited about that.
Cool.
So I'm not exhibiting there. I think there's like some after party. They told me I could set up a little table. So there, I think it's called a Kid Arcade after party. I don't know if you happen to be there. I think that's Saturday night. Come by and see me. Otherwise, I'll just be roaming the halls. That's all did you guys get, because you both backed the Kickstarter, did you guys get the rewards yet?
Not yet.
I haven't gotten mine yet.
Okay, you should be coming any minute. I heard from somebody that got it, and I was surprised they got it so soon. Of course, I guess they were in Arizona. So, but anyway, but you should be getting it soon. So if you back my Kickstarter, I'm fulfilling it. If you haven't answered the survey, please do so, because I think this is probably the fastest I've ever fulfilled a Kickstarter. Because I haven't even got paid, so they got to reimburse me. But yeah, so I'm trying to set a record, and I don't think I'll ever beat that one, at least a personal record.
I was surprised when I got your survey the other day.
Yeah, the thing is, because I wanted to make sure, because if I bring these cards with me to Vegas, and I wanted to make sure the people that back the Kickstarter get them first. So yeah, that was why I was trying to get it out there. Anyway, so other than that, you can find all my stuff at Serkworks.com. This is my YouTube channel. I have another YouTube channel called Retro Art Lab, where the stuff I've been doing recently, all these kind of retro rebuilds, I'm moving everything over to there. And then this channel eventually will be comic focused. But yeah, just go to Serkworks if you want to find any of my stuff. Josh, what about you? Where can people find your stuff?
So if you're really into traditions of indie comics, which I'm sure one of the big traditions we're going to be talking about today. But if you're into other traditions of indie comics like autobio, slice of life type books, super confessional, awkward, kind of like sneaking a peek at a diary kind of comics, check out Two Stories. It's hand lettered, hand inked, and it's a graphic novel that basically deals with faith and mental illness. You can pick that up on like Amazon, and then also at your local bookstore or at your local library, check out Jacob's Apartment. And if they don't have it on the shelves, just give them a hard time, or support your LCS with that and check out Jacob's Apartment. It's about two polar opposite roommates. And it's like if you took Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, put it in a blender with Ghost World, and you like that flavor of comic, you'd like those two books. And then lastly, if you're like us and you're constantly behind a drawing board or a writing keyboard, then maybe you want some music in the background. So check out Empty Rooms, the latest album that I just released on music streaming platforms everywhere under my name. So Joshua Kemble. So that's my wares.
All right. So Tyler is somebody that I follow on Substack. He's a really awesome comic book artist, works in watercolor, and just wrapped up a Kickstarter. We thought he was going to get to promote it here, but he did a real short Kickstarter. We'll talk a little bit about that. But Tyler, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone what you do?
Hi, everybody. I'm Tyler. I'm a huge nerd. So I have two comics. I'm working on a horror comic that's called an Anthological Archive of Great Ghastly Horror, or for short.
Ooh.
And I also have a dinosaur comic that's called AAAGGH. And it's kind of like just a documentary style, like Walking with Dinosaurs or Prehistoric Planet, that kind of flavor, but in a comic with watercolor. I do pencil digitally, but all the inking and coloring is done traditionally.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that's how I'm gonna do mine. Well, I won't be coloring; mine will be digitally colored. But I'm pretty sure this next comic I'm gonna do digital and then print it out and then ink it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And like I said, I follow you on Substack, and you're always live streaming your pages and stuff. And so if you happen to be on Substack, definitely check out Tyler there. I think there's a link to his Substack in the description of this video. Also, under Tyler's name there, just go to tylerblakeart.com, and that's his website where you can find stuff that he's doing and everything. But so yeah, so like I said, originally I saw your Kickstarter, I backed it, and I was like, oh, we got to get you on the show, I'll help you promote it, and then all of a sudden, you know, I like, oh, it's going to end. So obviously you ran a shorter campaign. We'll talk a little bit about why. Also, I just want to give you like kudos because do you know that Kickstarter is on strike? At least they have been.
Yeah.
It's
like 60% of their workforce is out, I think.
Right. And a lot of that, from what I understand, a lot of that has to do with their in-house kind of promotion and things like my Kickstarter. Yeah. Cause my Kickstarter, and luckily this one that I was doing, because that particular project is one that I'm doing all in-house, I didn't really need to make, basically I did it kind of like a pre-order, and I did what's called a quick starter, which is basically kind of under $1,000 goal. There's a bunch of different kind of rules or whatever for quick starters, and it's like, I mean, it's unofficial, but somebody came up with the idea. The other one is don't stress over all the promotion and stuff. So I was kind of happy to just let it go, but I was really surprised because typically with any Kickstarter, you kind of start out real big and then it kind of dips down for most of the campaign, maybe a little bump here, and then towards the end it goes back up. And mine just started really good. I funded like the second day, dropped down.
Oh, cool.
Pretty much I was like that for the rest of the campaign. But you, I mean, and you did some interesting things too. But I mean, I was watching you through the campaign and I was really rooting for you because I was worried because I know Kickstarter was on strike, but you were just kind of steady, and right up into that last day you weren't funded, and then you funded. So I just kept seeing it go up, and I'm like, oh, it's tracking, and you must have really worked it from
I was
my
sweating.
point of view.
Yeah. I've heard that they call it the Kickstarter dead zone in the middle typically. I heard Brad Geiger describe that as the bathtub curve, because when you get down to that part, you wish somebody would drop a toaster in your bathtub.
I've heard the bathtub curve, but I was thinking visually. I didn't know that yeah.
So I felt like I hit the dead zone on the second day, because the second day I had like nobody backed.
Right.
And I had a pretty good first day, but then the second day it was like dead, and I was like, oh gosh. And then it it just kind of went in fits and starts the rest of the time.
Yeah. And
so
yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, to me, running a shorter campaign like that, I mean, definitely, I don't advise to go longer than 30 days, but to go about half of that, to me, it's kind of that's kind of a little, especially if it's, how many Kickstarters have you run? Is this the first?
This is my first one for a comic book. I did a quick starter last March for just a one-page poster.
Right. Okay. Cool. So yeah. So anyway, but I was kind of watching the progress. But you did something interesting that I hadn't really. You were offering like almost like stretch goals, but you were offering them just to get to your basic goal.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely helped you out. So yeah. But
so I learned that you were a guest one time on the Comics Launch podcast with Tyler James.
Yeah, I
learned that strategy from him.
Okay. Yeah, I listen to Tyler James all the time, and I don't remember him. Well, I guess I mean, it makes total sense, but yeah, anyway, so I was just, I always usually try to set my goal just the bare minimum that I need, and with the hopes, and then my girlfriend, I would kind of go back and forth with her, and she says, well, why don't you just set it higher? And I'm like, I don't know, people tend to like still want to back after you hit your goal, but she was like, you should set it higher. So I don't know, there's basically what I'm saying is there's just different opinions on how to go about that, but I just feel more comfortable if I'm able to hit the minimum goal and then continue to try to build on that. But like I said, this last one that I ran was like it was kind of like interesting, and I think a lot of that had to do with Kickstarter being on strike. But kudos to you for funding it.
I have a question for you, Scott.
Yeah.
Did you get many of the scammers this campaign?
Okay, this one. Here's one that I actually fell for one, and I usually
don't. No.
The only reason I I didn't get taken for anything. But so here's
okay.
This is, and then they're getting super smart. So that somebody reached out to me, and they're like, "I'm so and so from this company." And then they said they're part of a Kickstarter program. So I looked the program up, and there is an actual program for that. And they said they mentor people and through its Kickstarter, which later I came to find out that yes, there's a program, but it's not like a mentorship program. It's something different. And they actually gave like people I could talk to verify them and everything. But the reason why, and I knew I wasn't, because of the nature of what I was doing was, like I said, kind of a quick starter. So I didn't want to do any marketing. But the reason why I reached out to this person is because they said, oh, I'm from, this company and they do like board games and stuff. And I had gone like, I don't know, a month or so. I had to go to get blood drawn, and in this, this big, it's a big kind of corporate space or whatever, where they got different suites and stuff. And I saw this sign for this, I won't say the name of the company, but I saw the same sign for this game company. I made a mental note of it, because there's the city where I live. It's not like it's weird to kind of find a game company there. I thought it was interesting. And I'm like, I should maybe look into these guys and see what they're doing, just because they're literally like a stone's throw away from my house. And so that was the name of the company that came up, that says, this guy, I'm with this company. I'm like, well, I'm just going to reach out to him, introduce myself, because like I said, they're just right in my backyard. And the more I started going back and forth, the more it felt like it was AI writing the emails. Like they give like hints and stuff. And then it got to the point where they were asking me about, well, I can put you in touch with my marketing guy. And it just kept going. And I'm like, well, I'm just doing this quick starter. And they kept asking, and I'm like, this is really weird for this guy with this really successful company to dare to keep asking me, like trying to get me to do this when I keep telling them. And I'm like, this doesn't seem right. So I reached out to Kickstarter, and it took a while for them to get back, because like I said, they're on strike. But it turns out this is somebody impersonating this guy from this company. So I still need to reach out to this company and introduce myself. And I said, tell them that there's somebody impersonating them. But I'm pretty sure that's what was going on. So, but
I've heard a variation on that where people are contacting people who are doing comic Kickstarters and saying like, hey, I'm, they'll pick like a Marvel editor from the 80s or something, or like, this is Todd McFarlane, and I like the cut of your jib, son.
Yeah.
And so they're impersonating these like rock star artists and editors and stuff, and getting people hooked in, and I want to mentor you.
Right. So I don't know what the end goal is, but the fact that it was even more nefarious. I mean, it's one thing to just be a promoter that's like trying to get you to use their services, but obviously this person is impersonating somebody. There was definitely some nefarious intent behind all that.
They're like, and for that mentorship, I just need you to go to the store and pick up 20 Target gift cards or something.
And I'm usually pretty good about it, but like I said, they're getting smarter, and I would not have even reached out if I didn't, like I said, make that mental connection from this game company that was I'm like, oh, this guy's reaching out to me. I just might as well introduce myself. And I should have known, because I said I told him I'd like to meet him in person. And they said, well, I'll be back in in Arizona after November something, of course, after the Kickstarter would have wrapped. So so
I kind of wonder.
It's a long walk from Punjab, so I don't know if I'll make it. But I mean, I'm sorry, Arizona. But
I wonder if they looked you up and figured out where you live. I'm not going to say that I know what town you live in, but I'm not going to say. And then they did a search and saw what other companies were around you. Yeah,
it could be. I mean, and the off chance that I would still even know about them, because even living in the same place, like if I didn't go have my blood drawn and see that sign on the building, I wouldn't have known. So
it's sad, because I think for some reason, because artists you know, I especially like younger artists, you know, or free, like when you're freelance, you're like hungry for work. You'll have feast and famine periods, you know. So it'll be like crazy busy, and then there'll be just these dead years every once in a while. And during those times, you're used to just like hunting like crazy for work. And it's like if you catch somebody who's hunting crazy for work and you promise them some kind of thing, you can usually get, you know, I'm just imagining that's probably like a market, because not a week goes by that I don't get one of those like scam illustration bait emails where it's like it usually starts with like, I am hard of hearing and I have these disabilities. I would like to have hire you to do art for a presentation, and then the more you kind of look at,
and money
like,
is no option.
Yeah,
money's
it's not an option.
And I can already, just because I follow a lot of those like scam baiting channels because they're hilarious. So I recognized a couple of the telltale signs of like I already knew which scam they were going to try to run, because I was like, oh, they're going to like pay me.
This is on page 17 of the manual.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, you made me overpay like $1,000. Now you need to refund me, that kind of thing. And I'm this poor disabled person. And then it's like you're suddenly in that catch where they get access to your computer. And yeah, I be careful out there, guys. Be careful. If it sounds too good to be true, a lot of the time it is. So, and also, one thing I learned too with freelance and stuff like that is clients always try to pressure you to take lower pay or to, like, you know, take exposure bucks and stuff like that. And the quickest way to avoid that trap is to realize the kind of companies that their exposure would pay really well. Like, that's just that, like, there aren't companies that do, oh, here's exposure bucks. Like, and if they're reaching out to you and saying, hey, we're going to be this great opportunity, then why do they have to reach out to you? Wouldn't they have just like swarms of illustrators
lining
up
like their
submitting
stable
work? Yeah. So anyhow, just as a like on top of what Scott was saying, just be careful out there, guys. Like they do prey on artists.
Yeah, and with AI, it's getting harder to tell. But yeah, I kind of noticed that the questions I when I responded, a lot of those questions were being repeated back to me, and there's certain things you start to
Did
notice.
They all have like the long dash? The ChatGPT long dash?
It's just like I've used like ChatGPT to help me write like my the back of my trading cards and stuff and certain things, and I see how it writes, and it's just like yeah, I get it, and it's like, you know, so it's anyway, but yeah, so I don't know, but anyway, Tyler, you brought it up, so what why did you bring it up?
So I had one scammer twice.
Okay.
Oh no!
So
as two different people, or
yeah, he was pretending to be two different people with the same email address.
Okay.
So he pledged for like $10 for no reward, and it had like the super flowery language, like, right, I'm such an ardent admirer of what you were doing.
Of course.
Thank you for bringing world peace to the world.
Yeah.
You know, it was like,
I love what you're doing, but I'm not going to mention any specific thing about what you're doing.
And everything I'm mentioning sounds nothing like it's for a guy who's making a horror book. You know? It's like,
thank you for bringing beauty to this world with your werewolf eating that dude. So like, and then he canceled his pledge like an hour later.
Yeah.
And then like later the same day he did it again and he's claimed to be a different person, but it was the same email address. And I'm like, are you new at this?
Yeah.
So it wasn't that, but I was kind of like, I kind of felt like, is my visibility way down? I feel like I should be getting more scammers over here. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this one I had more than usual, which is
okay.
Yeah, so but yeah, that one, you know, I almost fell for it. So I mean, I wouldn't. There's no way I would have fell for to the point where they would have got money out of me, because once I got to that point, but it's just like I just wasted a lot of time, you know, with going back and forth, thinking this was like this guy from this company down the street. You know, it's like,
and the part that's baffling about it is like you know it's succeeding with some people because they wouldn't spend
Right.
hours like just trying to bait it. Like anytime I remember thinking that like early scam days when people would do like the Nigerian prince, scam. And I was like, there's a reason whatever email you have, they find it and will send you that scam because there's somebody out there who like goes, I want that gold from the Nigerian prince. Like, I really want to, get that gold or whatever the scam is. It's interesting, but it's sad that there's, you guys be careful out there. Be careful out there.
Did y'all hear about the thing with this is sad, right? So like there's actually kind of like a forced labor industry for scamming where they lure people from like a third world country to another third world country and they say, okay, we're going to shackle you to this desk and you have to scam, once you've scammed 30 people out of $1,000 or whatever, then we'll let you go.
Oh no, I haven't.
Wow.
I've heard, So I thought you were talking about where they have people like deliver stuff and they don't even know they're in on it, or they think they're working for somebody and they're part of the scam. But no, I haven't heard about that. That's horrible.
Yeah. So I used to mess with them, and now I'm like I actually can feel a little bit of sympathy for the people that, because like I'm like, for all I know, you could literally have a guy standing behind you with a gun to your head.
Yeah.
So
and the other thing is just like, extreme poverty. Like I personally, like if you're living in an area where that's like literally the only job, then I don't know. I can't hate somebody for trying to feed their family, But it's a horrible way to make a living.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, last thing on the scam note. I used to work in a retirement home, and I was cleaning one of the residents' carpet while he was out, and this guy was like a World War II veteran in his 90s, and he kept getting this phone call, like his answering machine was picking it up, and the person was like, "This is the IRS. You must call us immediately, or you will go to prison."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard that one before. It's so weird. Like in Arizona, we don't have toll roads, but then we get things. I get like a text saying,
toll road notifications.
You didn't pay your toll. We're gonna repossess your car and all this stuff. Like, I don't think that's true, seeing that we don't even have toll roads. But anyway,
I've never seen that.
Yeah,
that's got to be catered to the Orange County folks, because Orange County, California, like the only place in California I can think of with a toll road is that in Northern California. Yeah.
All right. So from scamming on to horror anthologies. Now, first of all, I mean, I love a good acronym, and the title of your book is just awesome. And what's so good is it doesn't sound like it. Maybe you might say a different story when you're coming up with it, but it doesn't sound like a stretch. Some of these, like I remember back in the day, like toy lines. There was the toy line Mask. It was Mobile Armored Strike.
Oh yeah,
and that makes sense to me. Other than they spell command with a K, but the villains were like Venom, and it was like villainous blah, and it was just like this. You're stretching it here a little bit,
like Spectre.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, the title by itself is great, and then that acronym with the I mean, I love it. It's brilliant. So I just want to let you know.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was actually worried that was too long of a title. And then I'm like, well, if I can get it to just be known as then it should be okay.
So did you come up with the title before the acronym then?
No, so what it was like, and you see this with comics and movies. So like from the 50s with like EC up through like I think the anthologies kind of tapered off, in the 80s, let's say early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they kind of took most of the names. You have like Vault of Fear, Vault of Terror, Vault of Horror, Tower of Fear. I'm like, what's left?
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to come up with something that doesn't sound like I'm ripping off one of the old titles from the 70s. And I love those.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I also didn't want to like accidentally disrespect something that came before. And that I was like, what if I have it spell out a scream? And I played with different variations of scream sounds, and it's like, let's see. Nope, that doesn't work. That was how I settled on that.
That's great. Well, going back to what you were
it.
saying before, it was kind of to the detriment of EC Comics that they kind of named their books like that, because when the crackdown came, they said, "Oh, you can't use words like vault." I'm exaggerating. I mean, you could use vault, but anything horror or suspense,
right?
Or
yeah.
like where they like so every single EC title they couldn't have the name because it just they just said you're not allowed to have comics titled that.
Yeah. It's like false advertising if they do anything else. Like, what are they going to call it? Vault of Bunny Rabbits?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
Actually, that should be your next Kickstarter is a horror book called Vault of Bunny Rabbits, and it's just cute bunnies that brutally murder people.
But
we could make it happen.
I like this. I'm already liking this.
All right. So Tyler, I named the title of this episode. What did I name? It's like adapting classic horror for comics. So So I kind of want to know your approach to this, because I've been, and I know you're probably, I've heard some of the authors you're including, or you're adapting their stories, but I just recently I've been listening to, like, there's a YouTube channel, I think it's called Gates of Imagination, and they're based, and it might be AI reading it, but if it is, it's so good I can't tell. It sounds like a human reading.
Okay,
but they're pumping stuff out, so maybe it's AI. I don't know. But anyway,
you said it's Gates of Imagination.
It's Gates of Imagination, but I'll just warn anyone: if you don't have YouTube Premium, it's probably going to be hard to listen to because they're going to be interrupted by so many different ads. But I'm on YouTube all the time, so I pay for the no ads. So I just listen to these books, and a lot of them are I'm listening to, like, there's Lovecraft and H.G. Wells and Bram Stoker, who some of his short stories are really good.
They are.
Yeah, I was, because
most people haven't ever read those.
Right. Yeah, I was really surprised. There were some really good ones. And then you said Ambrose Bierce was in the one that you're adapting, and I listened to like The Damn Thing, but there's all these their stories on there, and they're just awesome to listen to. So, but I've been listening to quite a few of those stories, and so obviously you're a fan of those stories as well. So, and Poe, and of course, so, how do you kind of decide what before I'll ask that question, and then I'll ask another one that you can answer before.
So,
that. Yeah, go ahead.
First thing is I look for public domain. So in the US, it's either, I always like double check, but it's either if it was published before 1927 and earlier, or it might be 1929 right now and earlier. I would have to look that up. And so every year it goes up a year. So next year it'll either be 1928 or 1930. And Public Domain Day is on January 1st. And so, but like with both Lovecraft, and I also did a Robert E. Howard story in this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I've been listening to Robert E. Howard, but mostly it's Conan and Solomon Kane. But you, I was listening to one of your live streams, and you said that he's done a lot of horror, which I haven't come across any yet. So
oh man, they're good.
I got to seek those out.
So when both of those guys, when they died, it has to do with the way either the way their will was written or that they didn't have wills. Their work is public domain, even if it was published after 1929.
Okay.
So you can check like Project Gutenberg website and just do a search for, like, if you're looking at a story and going, I wonder if this is public domain. That's one of the first places I check. I also a great resource for me is Internet Archive, and I look up like old issues of Weird Tales magazine. And so right now I'm just looking at everything before that public domain date and just combing through and looking for, it's, drawing the comic is a lot of work. So I'm like, is this one short? Is this one short? Like, I kind of zero in on the ones that are either shorter that you can edit a lot out of without losing the author's voice.
Yeah.
For actually probably for most of publishing history, like H.P. Lovecraft and all those guys were getting paid by the word, and they weren't getting paid much, so they were like, I need to pad this thing.
Right. Okay.
And so
interesting.
Sometimes there's a lot of fluff that you can. So I try to edit it for length mostly.
Okay.
And then, I look for just subject matter. I love monsters, obviously. So when I find a good monster story that's a good length or that I can edit down to a manageable chunk, I'm there.
Yeah. So how long how many stories and about how many pages are the stories in your book?
So the first story by Lovecraft is 7 pages.
Okay.
And the post story is actually, that one's not a comic. I did illustrations to go with the full original text.
Yeah.
And then the Howard story is 12 pages.
Okay.
So that's the longest one I've done so far.
So it's an issue contains 3 stories, plus you got to have the horror host. So let's talk about your horror host.
Yeah. So my host is the curator, and so I absolutely love like the Twilight Zone. And have y'all ever seen a show with Boris Karloff called Thriller?
Yes.
No, but I'm gonna write it down.
Oh, it's so good. So actually what they did was they started out trying to compete with Alfred Hitchcock, and it wasn't going great. So in their second season, I want to say, y'all are familiar with Forrest Ackerman?
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember Forrest Ackerman, but
he did Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine.
Okay.
Oh yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So one of the producers from Thriller went to him and said, "Hey, we're looking for horror stories." And he said, "Oh, I have all these Weird Tales magazines." So they bought his entire collection with the agreement that they would sell them back to him when they were done. They put all the writers in a room and said, "Here you go, boys." Thump.
Yeah.
And they just combed through those magazines. They would find a story they wanted to adapt, and they would send, they would get a hold of the author and say, "Can we cut you a check we want to adapt this?" And so they were making deals. And when they switched from trying to compete with Alfred Hitchcock to doing horror, the show took off.
Okay.
And it's awesome.
It's interesting. I'm just going to interrupt you real quick because I think I might have to I want to reach out because I'm friends with the owner of Gold Key Comics, and they have they've got a new comic called Boris Karloff
Presents.
Boris Karloff Presents. Okay, I think
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, I'm gonna have to look into that because I wasn't familiar with the story, but it sounds kind of like what they're doing in comic book form.
Yeah,
they're telling you the same.
I heard they were starting up Gold Key again, but I didn't know they were doing a Boris Karloff project.
Oh yeah, that was their first project, and they've
done that's awesome.
2 others since then. But that's the first license because when they bought Gold Key, they didn't buy the right. It was just the name. Because all of those licenses are owned by other people,
Yeah.
Right.
Some of them were Valiant, some of them were, and now they've gone to IDW, all these different all these different properties. So there was no, and Gold Key really didn't have any original. They may have started some characters, but then they ended up selling them. So all they bought was
I think
name.
like Turok was one of theirs. Like
but
they
got
sold off.
Yeah. So when they bought it, they just basically bought the name, and then they had to reach out and start connecting with other. And the first person they connected with was the Boris Karloff estate. So yeah. But I think
cool.
Since then,
there was another one called The Veil that Boris Karloff hosted. And so like in comics, like the gold standard for anthologies was always kind of EC.
Yeah.
And you have like the Crypt Keeper and the Old Witch, and then like Marvel and DC
Tales too.
What's that?
Two-Fisted Tales too, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Two-Fisted Tales is that's my favorite EC.
Yeah. What did they have, like 12 anthologies at one time or something like that?
It's wild.
Yeah. Well, so like you have like when Marvel and DC were kind of trying to ape EC, I felt like they always just tried to like copy the Crypt Keeper, and
yeah, it was like
so,
Chamber of Secrets, wasn't that DC?
Yeah. House of Fear, Chamber of Secrets, Chamber of Chills.
Right.
Yeah. That goes back to when I was trying to pick my title. I'm like, they mined the field there.
Right.
But like their hosts would always say a pun and then giggle. Yeah. And then he'd talk about the story, and then he'd say a pun and giggle. And I was like, I want, like, Boris Karloff, when he would host, he was like very like charming and kind of erudite. Then so I was like, I want to like go more that route with the host.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, and then I was just kind of drawing him out and designing him. I'm like, I'm good. I wanted him to be kind of dapper. And I was, he wears a derby, and then I had the idea just kind of popped into my head to always have his face in shadow.
Yeah.
So that he would be mysterious. So like, I'm never going to show his face ever.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. And I think you can kind of see the image on the thumbnail of this video, what the curator looks like.
Yeah, he's front and center.
Yeah.
It presents a challenge because like you can't see his face, so I have to make his hands very expressive and do a lot of body language to make him not seem stiff.
Yeah. So I've recently been listening to when I was a kid, I used to, when I'd go on, where we go on like car rides with my dad or something like that. He'd play old time radio shows, and there's one called Inner Sanctum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I recently started listening to those on YouTube too, and that host is really good. But it's kind of funny because they got advertisers. So the main host is kind of like, he's all creepy and stuff, and he's like talking about death and dismemberment and all this. And then they've got a second person that kind of plays off of them, who's pitching Lipton tea and stuff. It's like, oh, but yeah, why do you have to be so evil? You could be nice and have a cup of tea. And it's just so weird to listen to him. It's funny, but yeah, he's that one's really good. And then the music behind it, it's kind of all that like organ music and stuff, and it's really creepy. And like as a kid, I thought it was the scariest thing ever. Just listening to this.
So this is from the 70s, Scott.
Was it from I'm not exactly. Well,
or 80s?
That's when I would have listened to it. It was probably late 70s, early 80s. But I don't know when it originally aired.
Okay.
It must have been way before that, I assume.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. But they're on YouTube. Just search Inner Sanctum.
Okay.
They're good. Yeah. They're mostly murder mysteries. They don't all have a I remember as a kid, I thought it was more, everything had a supernatural angle to it. Not all of it does, but every once in a while they do. But mostly mysteries and things like that. But it's good, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll check into that. I was gonna say too, you were talking about the show that you listened to, the classic horror stories on YouTube. Horror Babble is a really good one. Oh. And that one, that's definitely not an AI reader. It's definitely his name is, I want to say it's Ian Gordon. He's a British fellow. That's a good channel to find the cool classic horror stuff too. So actually, sometimes I have found some of the stories I want to adapt by going through the stuff they have.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, how many? Do you have an idea how long you want to keep this going? Is it just open to? Or do you
it's open.
Yeah.
I at least want to do 3 issues and then maybe a trade paperback and then do 3 issues, but I also have the dinosaur comic, and I have ideas for other comics, and my brother writes, and we have projects we want to do together. So
is the dinosaur comic, is that you and your brother's own original idea then?
That's just me. I'm just doing. Yeah, I never outgrew my love of dinosaurs, and I love to draw dinosaurs. I'm like, I should probably do a dinosaur comic.
My two boys, for the longest time, they wanted to be paleontologists, and then they discovered video games. But they still know they can answer any question about dinosaurs. They still know a lot about it. So yeah,
I think the thing is, dinosaurs just never cease to be cool. Like they're just the best. We have a good friend who does a comic called Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots. That's like, would be right up your alley. where it's like really like deep psychological horror, but it's like it's but it's with like
government conspiracies and
so it's all told like very first person and but anyhow, like the dinosaur thing is just you had me initially at the beginning of this at horror and dinosaur comics. I was like, okay, I'm into your work already.
So like I've always been intimidated by watercolor, and so I was like, you know what? Like I would kind of dip my toes in, and I would get frustrated, and dip back out, and just go back to a comfort zone medium.
Yeah.
So with the dinosaur comic, I was like, I'm gonna dive into this, and either it's gonna be awful, or I'll learn as I go, and it'll get better. But this is, I don't know. Hopefully, there's not too much glare, but that's the first 2 pages off of the dinosaur comic.
Yeah,
I love it.
So thanks.
But I love.
So I'm having a blast.
You must have, because you're doing the horror comic in watercolor too. So
yeah. Well, so actually, the first issue of the horror comic was done with Copic markers mostly.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. So the first issue, I was doing it on the Strathmore toned paper, and that paper takes colored pencils really well. So I could do like the Copics and then add like the creepy lighting with like yellow light over here and blue light over here,
right.
Just like and then I found out that Copics aren't they're not archival, and I was like, they charge $7
yeah.
So
well, are you familiar with Uhuhu markers, which are also not archival, but they're good and they're way cheaper.
Yeah. So I actually saw your video on those years ago, so like when I started using Copics, I lived near a Hobby Lobby, and so I could print out one of those 40% off coupons every day and just stop in after work and get one marker.
Yeah.
But when I figured out that like no alcohol ink is archival, I was like, okay, I just need to get into watercolor and go for it.
Here's the thing too, because I'm teaching art right now, and like it's like art 1 at like a high school, and like the first half of the year we go over like black and white, and then we get into color later on. Like, and when we get into color, we start getting more into paint. And what I love is we kind of start off with like markers and colored pencils and stuff like that, but then when they can see what you can accomplish with just like primary colors and the fact that you can mix any color on the planet, and like you can blend like colors or blend like complements to make like rich like browns and grays and stuff. It's like that. It's to me what like it you can get really into markers, but then it's like once you start getting a good grasp on like watercolor or acrylic or oil, it's like it's really hard to go back to markers, because you're like, I can't like blend these. Like, I mean, I know they say you can blend them, but like
it's not the same.
The method you're using though with the Strathmore is a good way to go, because like it's always good to like back your colored pencils with markers, and then like they look all solid. But I'm glad you made that transition, because I'm guessing, are you finding it like a little more freeing, like what you're able to accomplish?
I am. So I'm doing the the line and wash style. So I do my pencils digitally, print them out on watercolor paper, and I have a printer that will do 11 by 17. So I trim my paper down, and then I ink it traditionally, and then I watercolor over that.
I love it.
I've got a question for you. Oh, sorry. I got a question for you. First of all, Edie says, beautiful work, Tyler. And then she wants to know, do you CMYK colors, Tyler, or legacy watercolor pigment colors? So I mean, to me, go. I don't know if you can answer that. I'm not, I mean.
So I'm using Daniel Smith watercolors mostly. And then I scan it and I put it in Photoshop and save it as a CMYK file so that when I print it,
because I wasn't sure
turns out okay.
Like markers that that should be the way. CMYK I don't think is part of the equation until you actually scan it in. But maybe maybe there's certain colors that don't reproduce that way in watercolor. I'm not sure. I mean, that's certainly the case with there's certain things that won't reproduce. But
I have like it always looks different on a screen than it does.
Yeah.
Like I can scan it, and I'm looking at my original right next to the screen, and I'm like, you know, and I'm a technophobe, so I'm not good at making those digital adjustments to make
Me neither.
what I see on the screen look more like my original. And then I also figured like this could look completely different on somebody else's monitor, so I don't stress out too much about it.
Right. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
and
I
Josh,
always do test runs of prints, like whenever I'm working for print, because it's like at the end of the day, what it looks like on a screen doesn't matter. It's what it looks like on a piece of paper, you know, when it's printed. So, but yeah, you always have to do like slight adjustments. Like you lose a little saturation, especially from watercolors and stuff. Watercolors are probably the hardest one to reproduce, like with a scan. Yeah, but like, you know, it looks pretty effective from what I'm seeing, you know.
Thanks. Yeah. The Josh, you sound like the teacher I wish I had in high school for art.
Every time Josh,
that's what inspires me to teach the fundamentals and stuff. Is like I had an okay art teacher. Like they were a nice person, but they weren't. We didn't get into perspective. We didn't get into like, you know, rendering like officially. We just she'd like set something up and be like, draw this thing. And I want to, like, any kid who's had my class, like they'll come out knowing what 2.1 point perspective is, have like a rough idea of like the basics of form and shape and drawing by shape, and then like and then hopefully like a taste of like all the different mediums, you know.
When Josh always shares like his class examples of, you know, he's showing his students like how to do either perspective or this medium or that medium, and he shares them in our like private chat, and I'm like, just every time I'm blown away, I'm like, oh man, I wish I had Josh for a high school teacher when I was a kid.
I failed art in high school, and that prepared me to fail art in college.
Oh.
See, that's the only class I did good in. I failed everything else.
In high school, the teacher was like, okay, I want everybody to draw your friend's personality. And don't use any recognizable shapes. And I was like, I'm out. You know, like I wanted to learn perspective and skeletal structure and muscle groups, and they're like, no, I want to get you in touch with your feelings.
It makes me glad I majored in illustration in college, because like the fine art stuff like is fun, but it's like there's always, especially like luckily when I was going to school, that divide started, like people started returning to foundations. But there was definitely a period about like 5 years, I think, before I was going to college, where colleges were just all about like abstract, you know, expression and like and don't get me wrong, like I love that stuff, but it's like I wanted to learn all the formal stuff too. Like I wanted to see like how does the human body work, like, you know, I want to draw comics, so like I want to learn, you know, perspective and all that basic stuff, you know.
So like I like Scott, you've talked about how to draw comics the Marvel way on your channel before, and that was like the thing that opened the floodgates for me.
That's
was
awesome.
Like that book, and then like some of the Bern Hogarth books, but like he was so technical with like the way he wrote that I'd be like, I need the cliff notes for this, and like I could kind of get what he was doing by looking at his drawings, but it was still like mostly kind of overly complicated.
I have a couple Vern Hogarth books. I don't think I've read a word in them.
Yeah, I've got most.
But I learned a lot from the images.
His stuff. Hogarth stuff is awesome. Especially, I mean, you know, even beyond figure drawing, there's like the one with drapery and
actually that one
helped me.
Light and shade and dynamic wrinkles and drapery were probably the two that were actually most useful for me.
The other ones, if you're not careful, if you don't do really good gestures, your characters would look pretty stiff, because he's really, you know, he's really focusing on that anatomy and stuff, and if you don't understand if you don't understand the gesture behind it, your stuff's
I didn't know what gesture was like at that time, so I really struggled with that.
I was lucky enough. My life drawing teacher. So my journey is kind of weird when I started going to college for art and everything. I started at my local community college, and I was basically, and at that time I didn't know the difference between fine art and commercial art. And so, but it was good because I started taking like the painting classes and the drawing classes, and had a really good life drawing teacher who actually studied under Hogarth, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. But like, I'm just, and maybe it's intuition or something or whatever. Like I'm just doing sketches and like, looking at the model drawing, and he's like, yeah, there's too much detail in here or whatever. So I try to do more gesture and then I do one, and he's like, wait. He's like, no, this is perfect. And I'm looking at it's just all there is the motion of the head and the spine. Yeah. And and there's not much else to it. And he says, no, this is great. And he goes, can we print this in the next, I don't know, the next, I've got it. I think I have it printed out, but they reproduced it, put it in they had like a little thing that showed everyone's art and stuff. I'm like, really? Out of all the stuff I do, this is what you want? And I'm like, but now it took a while, but now I kind of, I see it because the gesture is there because, there. But anyway, so I started taking all these fine art classes, and fortunately I was in a color theory class. And
oh man,
I was showing the instructor, or maybe it might have been a painting class, and I was doing watercolors, but I wasn't really working with watercolors the way you probably should do, where you're kind of just letting the water do its thing and everything, and I'm trying to I'm going a little darker with it. I'm trying to basically fill it, and I do a really like detailed. I drew this Tuscan Raider on this bantha, and it I think it came out okay, but I didn't really let the watercolor do its thing. But so anyway, the guy's like, this is really good. It's kind of it's not usually what we do here, but I see what you're doing. You're doing different subject matter than we typically do. And anyway, I got to show him some of the stuff I was working on, and I showed him what I described as a portfolio, which really wasn't, but I showed him like logo. I had all these logo designs, and he's like, I think you'd really benefit more if it seems like you're more into commercial art. You should go over to this college over here. If that's really what you're interested in. So I ended up transferring to this other college in this commercial art program, who actually had a comics program and all this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. I lucked out because it wasn't one of those things where they're like, oh, stop doing that. This is this is fine art, and what you're doing has no value. The guy just he recognized what I was doing and just noticed that I was on the wrong track and kind of steered me in the right direction. So
that's cool.
That instructor. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's neat what you're describing too with like the gesture thing, because I feel like with contour too, that always used to just like blind contours, all that stuff just seemed like nonsense when I was going to art school.
Yeah.
Like now I really try to teach it and explain the why, because it's like a lot of contouring is gesture. And it's like when you get the flow of that, you can do life drawings like very quickly, very accurately, and then it improves your drawing abilities. And it's like, but when you're learning it, it's kind of like perspective, where it doesn't feel right when you're first learning it, because you're just like everything connects to, like, especially 2-point, you start getting the edges of those points, and it's like that can't be right, when you're first learning. And then it's like, no, like it is right. You kind of go with it, and I think that's one of the coolest things, is that moment when you've taken a bunch of life drawing classes or whatever, and it clicks, and you're suddenly like really able to draw what you're seeing like in front of you, and it's like
light bulb.
That moment. Yeah, that moment. I think is like something we all chase. That feeling. I'm still waiting for it with comics, but they're still a labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just going to say I seriously doubt most people understand how much work goes into producing a comic. Like you have to do it to appreciate how much work it is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's you really do have to love comics, because there's so many other avenues of art that could, if you don't love comics, are either more
lucrative
financially, financially. I mean, not that. I mean, there are people that make really good money doing comics and everything, but for the most part, it's a labor of love. And I mean, and a lot of comic artists, if they could do comics but only do covers, and a lot of people who've established themselves will move on to just doing covers and not doing sequentials because it is not easy, and to that point when I finished my last comic, I told myself it was going to be a long time before I started another comic because it was just so involved. And of course I came up with an idea and I'm like, now I'm kind of starting that too. So it didn't take long for me to, it just, it's like, it keeps pulling you back in.
It's a brutal mistress, where you're just like, you kind of forget about the hits because they bought you some chocolates and you're like, okay, I guess I'll do another issue. That's fine.
So Scott, you have started your next comic, pre-production?
I would say pre-production. I've done the cover. I actually did it in a retreat I did with Josh and some other friends.
It looks
designed
beautiful.
the cover, and I filmed it. And I've already got those videos like half edited. Eventually, I think it's going to be the first of the year. This channel is going to shift into the creation of that comic and kind of themed around comics more. Whereas all the stuff I've been doing recently is moving over to that Retro Art Lab channel. But it's just getting things set up, and I'm always coming up with ideas. So I got a lot of ideas, but I really want when I sit down to get a little more serious about it and start to actually write it and draw, and character design. I kind of want to share all that. I want to share my whole process, in the videos and things like that. So there'll be a lot more comic content, coming up. So yeah, but yeah, I'm super excited to do it. The main thing was I did want to launch this Kickstarter, get that out of the way, which now at least the people that have responded to the query, I've shipped all those out. So like I said, doing Designer Con this weekend, and then when I come back, it's going to be back focusing on those, the comic and the YouTube stuff and all that. So that's kind of, and of course with the holidays coming up, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm kind of shooting for like the first of the year to get back to the, putting new stuff up on this channel and everything and comic related stuff. But you, so you, I mean, you basically, you do most of your stuff on Substack. So how do you like that? Cause other than posting on Substack and just embedding my YouTube videos on there, any video content that I upload there, I'm not actually broadcasting natively to like Substack. So why Substack, and why have you decided that's where you kind of?
So I was using. Oh, sorry.
No, that was it.
I was using MailChimp for my email marketing.
Me too.
For several years, and then people started talking about. I'd heard of Substack for several years, but I didn't really know what it was, and like I'm like I get like dragged into any new technology stuff, like kicking and screaming, like it's not my thing.
Yeah.
So I heard somebody explain it about like with the way they have like posts that you deliver to your mailing list, and then they also have the notes feature.
Yeah.
That's like their social media side. So you have this one platform where you can do like your social media stuff that feeds into your email list. And then I was on it for a little while before they added the live video. And people always talk about how like live video is kind of favored as far as reach goes. So it just kind of made sense for me. And actually, so like within, and I still have a really small audience, but within a couple of months of switching from MailChimp to Substack, I had doubled the size of my mailing list.
Oh, for sure.
Just by
same thing.
using the notes feature.
Well, and not just the number of subscribers, but the engagement. Like, the reason why I switched to Substack from MailChimp is because I reached the point where I had to start paying for MailChimp, and I couldn't believe like it went from $0 to like $50 a month. I'm like, isn't there something in between to help you grow? I'm like, because I'm not making enough money off it to justify $50 a month for so it was like, and then I found out about Substack, and so I poured it all, I moved all my subscribers over to Substack, and then I started noticing, oh, if I put out a newsletter, I actually get engagement and people commenting, and also, assuming that the statistics are accurate, Substack, they're showing how many people open it, which is way more than I was getting from MailChimp. So yeah, I like Substack a lot. I haven't got to the point where I post, like I said, post natively to that, which would probably do better than just me sharing videos, because like you said,
and so like the other thing that's cool with Substack, like I would encourage you to try this out, because you do like, you do a lot with video. So when you do a Substack video, it automatically sends you like video clips with like transcripts on it that you can post to YouTube and Instagram and everything else.
Yeah.
And it's like they do all the work for you.
Yeah, I get that. I haven't actually reposted it, because I look at that little package they give me, and I'm still a little confused by it. Like, well, what do I do with this? And is this going to look better than something I'm going to create? I'm sure it's easier, but it's just like, so I guess I got to look into it a little more.
It might depend on your skill level with video. Like video editing for me is like, hey, let's drag this piano up a hill barefoot over broken glass. But probably not that big of a deal for you.
Well, yeah. So like, it's funny because I remember it wasn't that long ago. My brother he went to film, like he was more interested in film, so he would like take family videos and edit them and do all this stuff even before like the internet. And I'm like, I was kind of always in awe of how he was editing, because we go to like a family function and he put together like a collage of all the different video clips with like for somebody's birthday and do all this stuff. And like, oh, and I was like, oh man, can you help me with this? And then gradually just being on YouTube and starting to learn, this program a little bit, and then finally I started with the basic, like there was a Microsoft video program, and then I kind of got beyond that and I moved to another one, and then finally just recently graduated to the Adobe, like, because I already had Adobe. I'm getting this really, I'm paying for Adobe and only using Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. But I've got this really robust, Premiere Pro that I'm not even using, but I'm paying for it. So I'm like, I started teaching myself that, and I just looking back, I'm like, man, I could do all this. I can do more now than kind of what I was so impressed with before. It's just a little bit here and there, because I'm kind of like you. I'm kind of set in my ways, and I don't really want to learn new things, but every once in a while I get forced into it. And the thing is, usually once, and same thing with like Clip Studio Paint for doing comment. Like so you draw your stuff digitally. What program do you use to draw your comment?
I use Clip Studio. Okay, actually, and partly I have you to thank for that, because I was looking at your videos that you were doing. So I didn't start drawing digitally until about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And before that, I was just a mechanical pencil guy for decades, and then I would see people draw digitally, and I was like, he accidentally drew that guy's head too big, and he made it smaller in like a second.
That's
or actually a big one was your perspective video, Scott, with the perspective grid and stuff with Clip Studio Paint.
Clip Studio Paint,
because like I hated always, like, when I would have to erase all my sketch lines on Bristol board. Like, it'd take forever, and maybe the paper got a little bit roughed up, and so that was, after a while I was like, maybe it wouldn't burn me like fire to try this new technology a little bit.
But I waited on Clip Studio Paint. I'm like, I don't know if I can learn a new program, and then I'm like, and once I started, I'm like, and like most programs, I only scratch the surface of what you can do in that program, but like there's so much more Clip Studio Paint can do that I don't do. And a lot of the special features I don't even like. I usually, because you can work on a Photoshop document in Clip Studio Paint, but you only have like anything that's any functions that's native to Clip Studio Paint obviously aren't going to work. So I just use the bare, drawing and Like if it's something like perspective grids, I don't think that translates back and forth. But for the most part, if I'm just doing an illustration and it doesn't have perspective or whatever, I just set it up. And because I still, even though you can color really nicely in Clip Studio, I'm still used to Photoshop. So I mean, people ask me what programs I use, and I'm like, well, I started in Photoshop, or I started Clip Studio Paint, then I go to Photoshop, and then, if it's got graphics, or lettering, I'll move over to Illustrator, and then it's
as you should.
Yeah. So it's like all these different programs, they're just a mishmash of all these things.
I want to come back around to that in a second with Illustrator. It's like I tried doing everything digitally for about a year and a half. So I was inking digitally and I was trying to learn digital coloring. And after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm not even enjoying this anymore. Like I really miss the paper and I want to get that ink on my fingers. And so that was when I was like, I learned to love drawing digitally, but then I was like, I need to just print out these pencils and go to town with ink and some kind of color. But
yeah, I feel you on that for sure. Cause like the last book I did before this one was all traditional. And so I was like excited because everything I've done commercially for like 20 plus years has been mostly digital, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the next book just all digital because it fits the style. And now that I'm like 173 of these pages in, I'm like aching to get my hands dirty doing like traditional, because I'll do demos in class and stuff, and I'll be like, oh, this is so fun. I want to go back. Like because there's something about getting your hands dirty and having ink on your face, and like,
I can smell the ink.
You just got out of the war, when you it's like, I don't know, there is something about that. Scott, I'm glad too that you're considering inking it all traditionally, because it's just your traditional ink line. Don't get me wrong, your digital work's great, but your traditional ink line over that is just I think it's gonna, just from the cover you did on the retreat, I was like, I'm so excited to see that.
And Young and the Dead was like that. Towards the end, when I started moving toward digital, I still inked it all traditional because I wanted to match. I wanted it to look the same. And then, but I had assumed that once I wrapped that up, then I would go full digital on the next book. But then when I started to come up with the idea, I'm like, this really needs to be kind of rough and more. I gotta be able to
organic,
like you said, get your hands dirty. So I'm gonna do what you're doing, Tyler, and still do all the layouts and everything digitally, because like you said, it's so easy to correct things, work with your perspective grids, and then print it out in blue line and ink traditionally.
And like and the other thing about that is that gives you originals that you can sell if you do a convention or just on your website or wherever.
I haven't looked into it enough, but I'm wondering if there's any, because the pencils themselves aren't real, they're printouts, but the ink is actual, ink. So I don't know. That's something I'm not
like
sure
ethically
about. Not ethically, because I would definitely disclose any of that, or you'd be able to see the blue line under it. But do people care as much? Do they still look?
I don't think they do.
I don't think they're gonna care. Yeah.
So like I've heard other people talk about doing a similar process, or like Dave Kellett on Comic Lab was talking about how he'll print the image out backwards, so he'll do a mirror flip, print it on Bristol board, and then lightbox and ink. So that like you can't see the pencils at all, but then if you buy the original, you flip it over, you'll see it printed on the back, and he sells those, no problem.
Yeah, I've done it, and I don't know, comic strips. I mean, his is kind of a hybrid. It's kind of laid out like a comic book, and it's collected as a comic book. But I mean, I'm not real sure, but that's but I definitely, I mean, whether. The only thing I don't know is like, do they care if it's blue line underneath, or would it be better to, like you said, like even I like the idea, and I've done that where it's on one side, like you said, in your light boxing. But to me, it's easier to draw if if you don't have that light shining back at your face and you don't.
I tried that for a while, and I was like, after a while, I just started printing out the blue line.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
Jake Parker does he does kind of like orange tone pencils digitally.
Yeah, and I do that too as well. Whenever I do my
he'll even leave his sketch lines. Yeah, he'll leave his sketch lines and ink over it, and he's like, he wasn't sure about that at first, but he said people like to see like it's like seeing part of the process.
Yeah,
and I like to. Go ahead, Josh.
You want to think like in the tradition of old comic pages, which people love buying originals of, right? You have like areas where they white it out. You have areas where they like, cut previous panels or like pasted a new thing over it. And like, to me, one of the fun things about collecting those things, like I would imagine we'd have to talk to like Corey, who like obsessively buys original comic pages, but it's like, from the few that I do own by other artists, like that's the fun of it, is like being able to see, oh, here they did it, like they had a scene that was all white, and then they flipped it in Photoshop, right? So they inked like the inverse, so they could do stars really quickly or whatever. Finding those things out is like half the fun of those pages. So Scott, I don't think that'll be a problem, and I think the advantage of that is, you know, if you ink. This is my suggestion, but if you do traditional lettering in your comic pages too, then those pages are awesome because it's like you're literally owning a section of the comic with the text.
Lettering, right? I don't know if I will, but Tyler, you do, right? I've seen you ink.
Oh no,
no, okay, okay. Let me rephrase that. So you do the lettering digitally, but you print the lettering out as not blue line but black line, right?
Yeah,
and then you ink, but your page. But basically, what I'm saying is the pages you ink and color have the lettering already on it, right?
That's correct. Okay. So I tried doing the lettering in blue line. You know, I was doing the lettering in Clip Studio, and then I was trying to like ink the letters, and it looked horrible.
Yeah,
I gave it the college try, and it was bad.
Josh's originals where he inks. I mean, they look amazing, but I really respect it when people can do lettering well. Yeah. Like my wife does calligraphy, and I'm like, you know, that's like doing a magic trick to me, you know. Yep, for sure. So I don't know, Josh. I don't know if I'll be doing traditional lettering, but
I think you just do what you did with your cover. You know, that'd be cool.
So y'all were talking about Illustrator for lettering, and Josh, you seemed very enthusiastic about that. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like what advantages over either Clip Studio or Photoshop?
With Illustrator, it's just more built around typography. So like, I will argue till that again, I haven't messed with Clip Studio too much, but I will argue till the cows come home that you should be doing all typography in Illustrator.
The only thing I would say, Tyler, have you ever used Illustrator before?
I have not.
It is not user friendly. It is totally counter
learning curve
kind of drawing. It's a big learning curve if you're not used to it. You know, so
it's easier if there is a bit of a transition between Photoshop to Illustrator because a lot of the tool selections are very similar, but because it's working in vector, it's more like the difference is more like you're kind of like it's almost making art with like cutting paper. That's kind of the best I can, because you're doing a lot of like paths and almost like it's like if you did everything with a clipping mask and a pen tool in Photoshop. It kind of feels like that, but it's great.
I don't understand a word you said.
Well, I think
it's really good for customizing.
I think I've got a video that shows how I do the lettering. I think it's part of it's one of the videos in my Making Comics 101 series.
It's a good
Was
one,
that in Illustrator?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
If what you're doing is working, like, you know, this goes for like anyone out there. If what you're doing is working, the only reason you use tools is to make a product. And if you're using a hammer for what somebody else is using, like a different kind of tool for, and you're getting the same result, who cares? You know, like, I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, that totally makes sense.
So check out Scott's video. It is really like thorough on that. That was really cool.
So-
the way you show the word balloons too, Scott. I think that because I do a similar thing with my word balloons, and so, it's
so
it's great.
You're basically so they don't look perfectly elliptical and they look more natural and different things like that.
Okay.
So if you just wanted a letter, and I've also got I've got a project. If you let me know, I can probably give you a comp copy. But I've got a digital product called the Comic Lettering Masterclass too.
Oh, okay.
It works with. There's one for Photoshop and Illustrator, and there's also one for Procreate. But it just kind of goes. I don't know how much. I mean, I've looked at your lettering; they look okay, but it's a lot of like the history of letters, and that type of thing. And it's got like also hand lettering. It's got like guides if you want to practice your hand lettering,
right?
Like that. So, but yeah,
I bought an Ames lettering guide like.
Yeah, I've got one in my
10
drawer.
We all did
years ago, and I tried it, and I was like,
yeah. Luckily, they're only like $3. So, yes.
I didn't throw it away. I still have it, but I was like, I do not enjoy this at all.
Yeah.
So would it be?
You could print out those lines, on a sheet of paper, and like you said, either Lightbox or whatever, just as easy as you could a Ames lettering guide. Yeah.
Or you could do what I tend to do, which is you can work it all out digitally and then print it in blue line and then ink over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing when I first started working on my horror comic. I tried that, and it was barely legible. Like I'm like, I don't understand why I can ink like this horse running through a forest or something like that, but like the letter C is really hard.
It's cool because it kind of teaches you to hand letter, like weirdly enough, because now I can do a lot of custom lettering just from doing that so often. Because I know that, I mean, keep in mind what I'm drawing right now is like on a lag, so it's coming out more like drawing in MS Paint. But but in general, usually like if I'm doing a demo or something for my classes, I can do like pretty good custom lettering. Just drawing a baseline, a center line, and a cap height. But it's like part of how I know is because like I've messed with rigging custom logos like by playing with other fonts or building custom fonts in Illustrator, and it's like once you kind of see the grid behind it, it's kind of a similar moment to what Scott was talking about with gesture or like contour, where it clicks and you're like you start actually seeing the anatomy of the letter. Because most people who are artists, that's the thing, that's the hang up. That's what it was for me, was not realizing at first that letters have anatomy. And the second you realize like all of these letters we're using in typing were drawn like by hand at one point, most of them. And it's like, well, how was that assembled? And then you kind of can deconstruct, like deconstructing type is, sorry, it's a long-winded way of saying, play with type. It's fun. You'll get better at it. Yeah.
So is it possible to, could I do like pencils in Clip Studio and then import the drawing into Illustrator to do the lettering without having to learn a new program to draw?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to draw in Illustrator.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You could just, basically take your artwork, make a I don't know, like a JPEG of the artwork, and then bring that in on a different layer in Illustrator, and then do your lettering on top. That's kind of what I do,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We are getting
Are y'all getting really bad crackle on the audio?
I'm not. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just within like the last 10 seconds.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to. We'll probably have to. We're getting close to our 90 minutes, so we'll probably start wrapping it up. But is there anything that we didn't mention that you wanted to mention that, and we'll definitely have to have you back too.
Oh yeah.
So although my campaign ended, I do have late pledges active and available, and I have had a little bit of activity there. So anybody who is interested can still go to Kickstarter and look up an anthological archive of Great Ghastly Horror and check it out.
That's such a great title.
Thanks.
All right, and then other than that, where else can people find you, Tyler?
Say it again.
Other than that, where else can people find you? So your website is under your name.
Oh,
and then Yeah, and then also your Substack is there's a link to your Substack in the description of this video. So if you just definitely go follow Tyler on there if you're on Substack, because he's just doing awesome, live streams and stuff, showing his process and everything. And definitely if you can go back, if back the book, I've already backed it, and now that you're doing late pledges, so you definitely want to jump on that and just check out the stuff that he's doing at TylerBlakeArt.com. Can you hear me?
It's hard to explain. It's like echo with static.
Oh, that's weird. Usually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we're about to wrap it up. I think it's okay for everyone else. It sounds fine for me, and I think Josh too,
it sounds
as well. So.
clear here. Yeah.
All right, Josh. What about you? Where can everyone find you online?
So you can check out my website, joshuakemble.com. You can follow me on YouTube under Joshua Kemble and catch live streams every once in a while. And when I'm working on comics, usually I'll work on comics or record music during a live stream. And then aside from that, check out Jacob's Apartment. That's my story about two polar opposite roommates that are haunted by their childhood pasts. They're going through like that early 20s identity crisis, questioning life and meaning and all that kind of beautiful stuff. And as they find themselves drawn together, dreams and reality start interweaving. So it's like Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, put in a blender with Ghost World. And then finally, Two Stories, which is my comic about faith and mental illness, trying to destigmatize hard conversations about mental health, and also telling interesting tales, like cosplaying as Indiana Jones for an entire year before cosplay was a thing in elementary school, and other such tales. And then finally, just check out my music. The latest album is called Empty Rooms, and it should be a nice little set of tunes to play while you work on art.
Cool.
Okay.
How do people keep track of this crazy train called the Artcasters, Scott? And also, where can they pick up cool things like Wacky Packs and Young and the Dead comics?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Young and the Dead, here it is. This is the complete volume, the trade. It is available at my website, circworks.com, as well as like Josh mentioned, all my wax packs. Eventually, it came from the fridge, will be available up there soon.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye out for that. And if you've ordered it, it should be on the way if you answered your survey. And if you haven't, then go ahead and answer that. Other than that, here on this channel, there will be new content coming out here soon, the first of the year. I'm still doing the live streams here, but I do have a new YouTube channel. Go to Retro Art Lab on YouTube and subscribe to that and check out what I'm doing over there. And then the Artcasters, we do the show every single week, and it bounces back and forth. Sometimes the times change. We will be taking a vacation next week for the holidays, so we'll come back a week later. But if you're on the newsletter, you'll know all this stuff. I mean, not the newsletter, but I guess it's not really a newsletter.
Yeah,
I guess we just basically the only thing we put out there is when we're going live, and if we have any weird schedule changes or something, to let you guys know. We don't spam you or anything. So there's a link in the description to join that. So do that. And I want to thank everyone in the chat, and I want to thank Tyler for coming on, and we'll definitely have to have you back. And I am definitely looking forward to getting my copy of the horror anthology. So super excited to get that. And I guess we'll see everyone next week.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, absolutely.
I just wanted to say hi to my wife. Hi, sweetie. That's it.
Absolutely. That's the way to go out. All right.
I love it.
We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.